Ever scratched your head wondering why your ATEM switcher isn't behaving as expected? Let's be real, even seasoned users miss a few settings hidden in plain sight. Today we're uncovering 5 overlooked settings on Blackmagic ATEM switchers that can smooth out your live productions. These tips are friendly, practical, and might just make you say, that's why. Stick around because by the end of this, you'll be running your ATEM like a pro. First up, let's talk about something that's hiding in the ATEM setup application, the cut bus setting. By default, a lot of the smaller ATEM switchers like the mini series ship with the hardware panel in cut bus mode. In cut bus mode, when you press an input button, it immediately cuts to that source live in program. There's no preview, no second chances. The cut and auto buttons behave a little differently too. So if you've ever found yourself hammering the cut button wondering why nothing's happening, this is probably why. If you want your ATEM to behave like a traditional switcher, where you select a source on preview first and then cut or auto it live, you need to go into the ATEM setup application, not just the ATEM software control, and toggle the hardware to program preview mode. Once you do that, pressing an input button will line it up on preview, and you'll have a clean controlled switch when you're ready. A lot of people overlook this because it's tucked away in a separate setup tool and not obviously called out anywhere. If you're serious about running a clean show, making this small change can massively improve your workflow. Next, let's get into audio, specifically the mic versus line level setting. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people plug in their mixer or laptop into the ATEM's 3.5mm input, hit record, and then wonder why the sound is totally blown out or nearly silent. The issue is simple. You have to match your input type to the device that you're plugging in. Mic level is for microphones, which have a very weak signal overall. Line level is for things like mixers, DJ gear, or media players, which output a much stronger signal. If you feed a hot line level signal into a mic level input, you're going to get distortion and clipping. If you feed a mic into a line level input, it's going to sound whisper quiet. The fix is easy. In the ATEM software control under audio, make sure that you set your mic 1 or mic 2 input to either line or mic depending on what you've plugged in. It's simple, but it's one of those small steps that can make or break your production. And trust me, if you've ever been in the middle of a live event with horrible audio, you know how bad it can feel when something like this goes wrong. Now let's talk about streaming bitrate and recording bitrate because this one trips people up all the time. On the ATEM switchers that have recording and streaming built in, your program recording bitrate is tied directly to your streaming quality setting. That means that if you set your ATEM to stream at low quality, your recording will also be low quality. There's no separate adjustment for record and stream. They are married together. The ISO recordings, meaning the individual camera feeds recorded separately, are recorded at a much higher quality independent of your stream setting, which is great. But the program feed, the actual live cut version of your show, is locked to your stream setting. So if you choose streaming low because your internet isn't great, just know that your main recording will be heavily compressed too. That's fine for some scenarios, but if you plan to repurpose the footage or deliver it to a client, it's better to choose streaming medium or streaming high if your internet can handle it. Hyperdeck high presets are available too, which crank the bitrate way up, but they aren't really suitable for actual live streaming. They're more for local recording. Hyperdeck High pushes your bitrate up to around 45 to 70 megabits per second, and most platforms won't even accept a stream that high. If you're recording only, not streaming live, it's a great way to get a higher quality file. Bottom line, if you need a high quality recording and you're also streaming, make sure that your streaming setting is appropriate, or else you'll be disappointed when you look back at your footage. Another overlooked gem is output routing. A lot of people don't realize that on the ATEM Mini Pro, Mini Extreme, or any ATEM with multiple outputs, you can assign what video source goes to which output. It's not just locked to program output. In the ATEM software control under the output menu, you can assign any HDMI or SDI output to show program, preview, multi-view, any specific camera input, a media player, or even a clean feed with no graphics. This becomes incredibly powerful on the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, which has 2 HDMI outputs, or the SDI models that have 4 SDI outputs. For example, you could have one output showing your full multi-view for monitoring, another sending program to your recording device, another output showing just a laptop input feeding a projector for an audience, and yet another output sending a clean feed to a secondary encoder. It's pure flexibility, and it saves you from needing additional routers or converters. But again, a lot of people miss it because it's not immediately obvious unless you dig into the output menu. Once you start customizing your outputs, you'll wonder how you've ever really lived without it. Finally, let's talk about multi-view labeling, because this is one of those tiny quality of life improvements that makes a massive difference, especially when things get hectic during a live show. In the ATEM software control under switcher settings, you have the ability to rename all your inputs. Instead of camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, you can name them wide shot, close up, slides PC, remote guest, whatever you really want. And when you do this, those labels show up in your multi-view, making it way easier to glance at your monitor and instantly know what's what. Even better, if you're directing over comms, you can label cameras based on the operator's name. For example, camera 1 becomes Alice, camera 2 becomes Bob, and now, when you're calling the shots, you're not fumbling around trying to remember which camera is which. You can literally call out, "Ready, Alice? Take Alice," without any confusion. It's a small thing that makes your directing cleaner, faster, and way more professional. Plus, it looks nicer on the multi-view and helps avoid those, "oh no, wrong shot" moments. So there you have it, 5 settings on the ATEM switchers that a lot of people overlook but can seriously upgrade your productions once you dial them in. Switching from cut bus to program preview gives you much cleaner and safer transitions. Properly setting your audio inputs between line and mic levels can save you from horrifying distortion or silent failures. Understanding how streaming and recording bit rates are tied together ensures that you won't be surprised when you go back and edit your footage. Output routing opens up tons of new workflow possibilities without extra gear, and customizing your multi-view labeling keeps you organized, fast, and professional. These are the kinds of settings that, once you understand them, can make you way more confident behind the switcher and give your streams that polished, pro-level feel. I encourage you to go into your ATEM right after this video, double check these settings, and make the adjustments if needed. A few simple tweaks can seriously level up your productions. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button below. It really helps support the channel and gets these tips out to more streamers and creators. And if you have your own ATEM tips, tricks, or settings that you swear by, drop them down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what little tweaks you've discovered that made a big difference for your workflow. Thanks for hanging out today, happy switching, and I'll see you in the next video.